When things go our way, we reject the lack of certainty. Recall that the fragile wants tranquility, the anti-fragile grows from disorder, and the robust doesn't care too much. It is far easier to figure out if something is fragile than to predict the occurrence of an event that may harm it. Most info-web media newspaper types have a hard time swallowing the idea that knowledge is reached, mostly, by removing junk from people's heads. If you want to annoy a poet, explain his poetry. History is opaque. You see what comes out, not the script that produces events, the generator of history. Be sophisticated. You need to accept that you are not so. Probability and expectation are not the same. It's probability and probability times the payoff. Living on our planet, today, requires a lot more imagination than we are made to have. We lack imagination and repress it in others. If the professor is not capable of giving a class without preparation, don't attend. People should only teach what they have learned organically, through experience and curiosity, or get another job. That if you need something urgently done, give the task to the busiest, or second busiest, person in the office. No person in a transaction should have certainty about the outcome while the other one has uncertainty. The world in which we live has an increasing number of feedback loops, causing events to be the cause of more events. Say, people buy a book because other people bought it, thus generating snowballs and arbitrary and unpredictable planet-wide winner. When you beat up someone physically, you get exercise and stress relief. When you assault him verbally on the internet, you just harm yourself. Academia is to knowledge what prostitution is to love, close enough on the surface but, to the non-sucker, not exactly the same thing. It hit me right there and then that these anti-fragile hormetic responses were just a form of redundancy, and all the ideas of Mother Nature converged in my mind. It is all about redundancy. Nature likes to over-insure itself. If you want to annoy a poet, explain his poetry. They will envy you for your success, your wealth, for your intelligence, for your looks, for your status, but rarely for your wisdom. Living on our planet, today, requires a lot more imagination than we are made to have. We lack imagination and repress it in others. When you beat up someone physically, you get exercise and stress relief. When you assault him verbally on the internet, you just harm yourself. There is asymmetry. Those who die do so very early in the game, while those who live go on living very long. Whenever there is asymmetry in outcomes, the average survival has nothing to do with the median survival. Recall that the fragile wants tranquility, the anti-fragile grows from disorder, and the robust doesn't care too much. Avoidance of boredom is the only worthy mode of action. Life otherwise is not worth living. The epiphany I had in my career in randomness came when I understood that I was not intelligent enough, nor strong enough, to even try to fight my emotions. You do not want to win an argument. You want to win. No person in a transaction should have certainty about the outcome while the other one has uncertainty. Living on our planet, today, requires a lot more imagination than we are made to have. We lack imagination and repress it in others. The four most influential moderns, Darwin, Marx, Freud, and, the productive, Einstein were scholars but not academics. It has always been hard to do genuine, and no perishable, work within institutions. The difference between technology and slavery is that slaves are fully aware that they are not free. True humility is when you can surprise yourself more than others, the rest is either shyness or good marketing. Aesthetics, ethics, and many good things in humans are contagious. Maternity, we created youth without heroism, age without wisdom, and life without grandeur. The chief ethical rule is the following: thou shalt not have anti-fragility at the expense of the fragility of others. In poor countries, officials receive explicit bribes. In DC they get the sophisticated, implicit, unspoken promise to work for large corporations. Maternity, we created youth without heroism, age without wisdom, and life without grandeur. Difficulty is what wakes up the genius. We tend to use knowledge as therapy. If humans fight the last war, nature fights the next one. Love without sacrifice is like theft. To understand the future, you do not need techno-autistic jargon, obsession with killer apps, these sort of things. You just need the following: some respect for the past, some curiosity about the historical record, a hunger for the wisdom of the elders. It is as if the mission of modernity was to squeeze every drop of variability and randomness out of life, with the ironic result of making the world a lot more unpredictable, as if the goddesses of chance wanted to have the last word. Those who talk should do, and only those who do should talk. Ideas come and go, stories stay. Charm is the ability to insult people without offending them, nerdiness the reverse. The problem is that our ideas are sticky. Once we produce a theory, we are not likely to change our minds. Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, one of the dour Stoic authors, fire feeds on obstacles. Anti-fragility is beyond resilience or robustness. The resilient resists shocks and stays the same, the anti-fragile gets better. Work destroys your soul by stealthily invading your brain during the hours not officially spent working. Be selective about professions. Companies trying to misrepresent the product they sell by playing with our cognitive biases, our unconscious associations, and that's sneaky. The latter is done by, say, showing a poetic picture of a sunset with a cowboy smoking and forcing an association. Be sophisticated. You need to accept that you are not so. I know that history is going to be dominated by an improbable event, I just don't know what that event will be. Academia is to knowledge what prostitution is to love, close enough on the surface but, to the non-sucker, not exactly the same thing. Only the autodidacts are free. You may never know what type of person someone is unless they are given opportunities to violate moral or ethical codes. An idea starts to be interesting when you get scared of taking it to its logical conclusion. But they never notice the following inconsistency: this so-called worst-case event, when it happened, exceeded the worst case at the time. For I have a single definition of success: you look in the mirror every evening, and wonder if you disappoint the person you were at 18, right before the age when people start getting corrupted by life. Let him or her be the only judge, not your reputation. Abundance is harder for us to handle than scarcity. Prediction, not narration, is the real test of our understanding of the world.